Okay, so we start with the topic today. This is a new chapter and a new unit altogether in macro called as the government budget. Okay, very important unit from the exam point of view also, and a very interesting chapter. So in this chapter, we primarily talk about how does the government prepare a budget. Okay, what is actually a budget? What are the objectives of making a budget? Okay, so let's look at these questions one by one. First of all, let's see what's actually meant by a budget. All of us have a budget. Every family has a budget. Whenever we go out to buy any commodity, there's a budget we plan. Okay, regarding how much we can spend on purchasing a particular commodity. So just as every family has a budget, the government also itself plans a budget. Now, this is regarding how much the government plans to spend over the entire financial year, how much the government plans to receive in the form of taxes throughout the entire financial year. We also call it as the fiscal year, okay, financial year or the fiscal year. So, the first definition on your screens, what is a budget? Now, budget is an annual statement of systematic estimated receipts and expenditures of the government over the fiscal or the financial year running from 1st April to 31st March. Okay, so usually the financial or fiscal year of the government, the financial or the fiscal year of the government runs from 1st April to 31st March. But this year you must have observed that the finance minister has shifted the fiscal and the financial year. This time it did not close on 31st March because of the pandemic which happened. But usually in the normal course, you will observe that the financial or the fiscal year runs from 1st April to 31st March. So over the entire financial or fiscal year, the government actually calculates what are the estimated receipts it is going to receive, how much expenditure it plans to do over the entire fiscal or financial year. So that is captured by the budget. Okay. Now the next thing, what are the objectives of preparing a budget? So why should we prepare a budget? Why should the government prepare a budget at the first place? Okay. Now, so these are the reasons for preparing a budget, objectives of preparing a budget, which you can see on your screens. Okay. The first objective is reallocation of resources or removal of regional inequalities. Okay, so now when the government plans to prepare a budget, the government needs to take into account the social welfare and economic conditions of the people. Okay, how the resources are getting reallocated, how to remove the regional inequalities which are existing. So as you can see on your screens, the government has to allocate resources through budget to promote social welfare and economic conditions of the people. The budget should aim at balanced regional development of the country or state. The budget should not be prepared in such a way so that one state is developing very fast, another state is developing slowly. Okay, obviously the budget should be balanced so that every region or state of the country is developing at an equal pace. It should not happen that some states are given more priority in terms of developing and some states are given lesser priority. Okay, also budget, this needs more expenditure on development of backward regions. When we talk about how to allocate the budget, how to allocate the funds, we need to take into account the backward regions in the economy which need more development, and more development means more expenditure for it. Okay, the government declares some backward regions as special economic zones and provides infrastructure such as electricity, transportation, subsidies, and tax-free holidays to industries located in these regions. So when we talk about special economic zones are those regions basically where you will see that the government, the government gives you subsidies. Subsidies are given to promote production, to promote exports in the economy. Okay, tax concessions are given. जो नॉर्मल रीजन्स में जो गवर्नमेंट टैक्स चार्ज करती है, तो स्पेशल इकोनॉमिक जोन्स के अंदर जो टैक्स चार्ज है दैट इज लेस. The government charges a lower tax in special economic zones as compared to other regions. Basically, all this is done. The government also provides infrastructure facilities like electricity, transportation. All these services are done to promote production and employment in special economic zones. Because जितनी ज़्यादा production होगी इन zones में, उतने ज़्यादा हमारे exports भी बढ़ेंगे to the rest of the world. तो just an interesting fact for all of you कि इंडिया के अंदर जो first special economic zone था, that was Kandla in Gujarat. So Kandla in Gujarat was the special economic zone in India. It was the first special economic zone in India. Okay, so basically it's a port. अगर आपको पता होगा, it's a seaport in Gujarat. Okay. So let's move forward. So you can read the last line which I was just speaking. Employment opportunities will go up and backward regions would develop. In special economic zones, when the government provides you with infrastructural facilities like electricity, transportation, subsidies, okay, that causes the production to go up. Obviously, more production would mean more employment. You need to hire more people to produce more, and this will cause the regions to develop, the backward regions to develop. Okay, so this was the first objective of preparing a budget: reallocation of resources or removal of regional inequalities. Okay, the second objective of preparing a budget: redistribution of income and wealth. Now obviously you will see that in the economy there are some people who are very rich, there are some people who are very poor. Okay, now obviously the steps need to be taken by the government in order to transfer some wealth from the rich to the poor, so that there is more equality in distribution of income and wealth. If you would remember, when you guys were in class 11th, you had done something called the Lorentz curve. In statistics, if you can recall, you have done the Lorentz curve, and the Lorentz curve captures the amount of inequality in the economy. Remember, there used to be a line of perfect distribution that used to be called the 45-degree line. The closer you are to that line, lesser is the inequality in distribution of income and wealth. The farther you are from that 45-degree line, okay, that means more is the inequality in distribution of income and wealth. That is something you have done in class 11 called the Lorentz curve. Okay, so the government prepares a budget in order to redistribute income and wealth to reduce the inequalities. The budget should therefore aim to collect higher taxes from the rich by increasing the tax rates or imposing new taxes, both direct and indirect taxes. Okay, I hope all of you know what's the difference between direct and indirect taxes. Direct taxes are those taxes in which the burden of the tax and the liability of the tax is on the same person. इसका मतलब डायरेक्ट टैक्स के अंदर जिस पे टैक्स लगा है उसी को ही पे करना पड़ेगा वो टैक्स. इनडायरेक्ट टैक्स के अंदर द incidence of the tax and the liability of the tax are on two different persons. That means इनडायरेक्ट टैक्स के अंदर टैक्स इम्पोज एक पार्टी पे होगा बट एक्चुअली पे करेगी वो दूसरी पार्टी पे करेगी. तो फॉर एग्जांपल इनडायरेक्ट टैक्स में अगर हम बात करें, तो अगर हम बात करें जीएसटी की, तो वो लगता प्रोड्यूसर्स पर है बट उसको पास ऑन कर देते हैं टू द कंज्यूमर्स. तो इनडायरेक्ट टैक्स एक्चुअली प्रोड्यूसर्स पर लगता है, लेकिन प्रोड्यूसर्स उस टैक्स को कंज्यूमर्स पे पास ऑन कर देते हैं इन द फॉर्म ऑफ हायर प्राइसेस. ओके, now you should know the taxation structure we have in India. In India there is progressive taxation. प्रोग्रेसिव टैक्सेशन का मतलब कि जैसे जैसे आपकी इनकम बढ़ेगी आपका टैक्स रेट भी बढ़ेगा। अगर आप इंडिया का टैक्स स्ट्रक्चर देखो तो जैसे जैसे आपकी इनकम आप हायर स्लैब में आते हो तो टैक्स रेट आपका बढ़ जाता है। दैट इज कॉल्ड प्रोग्रेसिव टैक्सेशन। as your income goes up, the tax you have to pay to the government also goes up. Okay. And luxury taxes, wealth taxes on the rich, these taxes should be the least on the poor. The tax collected from the rich are spent through the budget on schemes which benefit the poor, like free education, medical facilities, schools, subsidies, training facilities, public works, etc. This way, inequalities of income are reduced and wealth won't be concentrated in the few hands, making the rich richer and the poor poorer. So if I sum up the entire second point, the second point talks about redistribution of income and wealth. It simply focuses on the point that the government prepares a budget to redistribute the income from the rich to the poor. And how is it done? The government in India goes for progressive taxation. That means the people who are rich pay higher taxes to the government, and the government uses those taxes through the budget to make schemes which benefit the poor, like free education, medical facilities, subsidies, training facilities, etc. Okay, so in this way, the government is transferring the income and wealth from the rich to the poor so that inequalities are reduced. Okay, then the third objective of preparing a budget: economic stability and price stability. Obviously, the government also prepares a budget to prevent fluctuations in the economy. Everyone wants an economy to be stable. Everyone wants prices to be stable. It should not happen that prices are going too high in the economy, causing inflation. It should not happen that prices are continuously falling in the economy, causing deflation. So the government prepares a budget to ensure that prices remain stable. Okay. So through the budget, the government tries to prevent business fluctuations and maintain economic stability. That is high level of employment and price stability. So if the government sees that there is inflation or excess demand in the economy, all of us know excess demand causes prices to rise, which in turn causes inflation. If there is a persistent and continuous rise in prices, it causes inflation in the economy. So if the government is observing that there is excess demand or inflation in the economy, what will the government do? The government through budget will increase all taxes and stop subsidies. जैसे ही गवर्नमेंट टैक्सेस इंपोज करेगी तो लोग अपने आप ही बाय करना कम कर देंगे, यानी एक्सेस डिमांड कम हो जाएगी, which will automatically cause the prices to fall. Similarly, the government will stop giving the unnecessary subsidies. Okay, अगर गवर्नमेंट ज्यादा सब्सिडीज नहीं देगी, okay, तो ऑटोमेटिकली दैट विल रिड्यूस द इंसेंटिव टू प्रोड्यूस. ज्यादा प्रोडक्शन नहीं होगी इकोनॉमी में, ज्यादा प्रोडक्शन नहीं होगी, डिमांड नहीं होगी, ऑटोमेटिकली इन्फ्लेशन विल बी इन चेक. Okay, so the first point is, if there is inflation or excess demand in the economy, the government through the budget will increase all taxes and stop subsidies. Why does the government do this? Because the government wants to reduce the purchasing power of the people. Automatically, if the purchasing power of the people will fall, excess demand will fall, which will cause inflation to fall. On the other hand, if there is deflation or recession, or there is deficient demand in the economy, इसका मतलब अगर डिमांड कम है और प्राइसेस फॉल हो रहे हैं, तो गवर्नमेंट विल रिड्यूस ऑल टैक्सेस एंड प्रोवाइड सब्सिडीज. टैक्सेस कम करने से, सब्सिडीज प्रोवाइड करने से क्या होगा? डिमांड ऑटोमेटिकली बढ़ जाएगी. जब टैक्सेस कम हो जाएंगे तो लोगों की डिमांड बढ़ जाएगी, लोग ज्यादा गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज बाय करना चाहेंगे. आई होप एवरीवन इज अंडरस्टैंडिंग दिस. अगर टैक्सेस बढ़ते हैं तो ऑटोमेटिकली आप डिमांड कम करोगे, आपकी परचेजिंग पावर कम हो जाएगी. लेकिन अगर टैक्सेस गवर्नमेंट ने कम कर दिए तो आप ज्यादा गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज बाय करना चाहोगे. दैट विल इंक्रीज द एग्रीगेट डिमांड. सिमिलरली अगर गवर्नमेंट सब्सिडीज प्रोवाइड करती है ईदर टू द फर्म्स और टू द पीपल, दोनों ही केसेस के अंदर डिमांड फॉर गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज विल गो अप, इट विल कॉज एग्रीगेट डिमांड टू राइज। इसका मतलब गवर्नमेंट जो है वो सब्सिडीज यूज कर रही है, गवर्नमेंट बजट यूज कर रही है इस तरीके से ताकि इकोनॉमिक स्टेबिलिटी बनी रहे। गवर्नमेंट यूजेस द बजट टू इंश्योर दैट देयर इज इकोनॉमिक स्टेबिलिटी। यानी अगर इकोनॉमी के अंदर एक्सेस डिमांड है, इन्फ्लेशन है, तो गवर्नमेंट बजट यूज करेगा, टैक्सेस इंक्रीज कर देगा और सब्सिडीज को स्टॉप कर देगा ताकि लोगों की परचेजिंग पावर कम हो और ऑटोमेटिकली इन्फ्लेशन भी कम हो जाए। लेकिन अगर इकोनॉमी के अंदर डिफ्लेशन है या डिमांड कम है, डेफिशिएंट डिमांड है, in that particular case the government will reduce all sort of taxes and provide subsidies, which in turn will increase the purchasing power of the people and aggregate demand. Okay, the fourth objective of preparing a budget, management of public enterprises. ठीक है, अब the government through the budget undertakes various commercial activities like heavy manufacturing, power generation, railways. तो गवर्नमेंट के जितने भी पब्लिक एंटरप्राइजेस हैं, जैसे कि हेवी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सेक्टर की हम बात करें, जितनी भी हमारी हेवी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में हमारी आयरन एंड स्टील इंडस्ट्रीज आती हैं, ओके, पावर जनरेशन कंपनीज हैं जो गवर्नमेंट की जो इलेक्ट्रिसिटी जनरेट करती हैं, इंडियन रेलवेज की बात अगर हम करें, तो जितने भी गवर्नमेंट के जितने भी पब्लिक एंटरप्राइजेस हैं, पब्लिक सेक्टर्स हैं, उनको मैनेज करती है गवर्नमेंट थ्रू द बजट कि कितने फंड्स एलोकेट करने हैं रेलवेज को, कितने फंड्स एलोकेट करने हैं टू द हेवी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग इंडस्ट्रीज, कितने फंड्स एलोकेट करने हैं टू पावर जनरेशन। ओके, so all the public enterprises of the government are managed through the government budget. Okay, the fifth objective of preparing a budget, development of agriculture and industry. All of us know three major sectors of any economy: agriculture, industry and services. और आपको यही पता होना चाहिए कि ये सारे सेक्टर्स आपस में भी इंटरलिंक्ड हैं। Agriculture is like the backbone. It's very important for the agriculture sector to develop and function properly in the economy. Okay, so agriculture sector अच्छा perform करेगा तो obviously industrial sector will also perform better. अगर agricultural produce अच्छी होगी, agricultural sector में remuneration अच्छी होगी, obviously you will see the industrial sector will also develop. So all these sectors are interlinked to each other. So the budget prepared by the government should also aim to promote agriculture and industry by giving them subsidies. लेकिन ये सब्सिडीज जो गवर्नमेंट दे रहा है ये प्रोडक्टिव सब्सिडीज होनी चाहिए. They should not be unproductive subsidies. They should be productive subsidies. And the last objective of preparing a budget, provision of maximum employment opportunities. अब जो गवर्नमेंट बजट प्रिपेयर कर रहा है वो इस तरीके से होना चाहिए so that employment opportunities are developed for the poor. All of us know employment is a very critical and important factor in measuring the performance of the economy. जिस इकोनॉमी के अंदर एम्प्लॉयमेंट अपॉर्चुनिटीज ज्यादा अच्छी होंगी, that economy will perform much better. If the youth of the economy are sitting unemployed, obviously that will not cause the economy to develop in the future. So the budget of the government should also aim at creating new jobs, because every year population is also going up. Every year new people are getting added to the workforce. So the budget of the government should